choices. We all make choices in our lives, especially eating choices. Diabetics have to choose healthy eating choices to prevent bad consequences from happening. My dad thought it was the end of the world when he was diagnosed with diabetes at Christmas time in 2015. At Christmas time, we were making cookies that the women all made and the men ate. So after we ate them, we figured it'd be a good idea to take out a blood sugar test and test it on everyone. My dad was up and he had a very high score of 500. So we took him to the doctor and he was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. He felt really bad because he didn't think that he would be able to eat any sugar ever again until he went to a nutritionist. He went to the nutritionist and she said, "Don't worry, the way that diabetics are eating should be the way everyone is eating." And even though it's kind of sucks that my dad has to watch what he eats now, it was kind of a wake-up call for the rest of my family to start eating healthy. So I'm here to tell you that the way diabetics are eating or should be the way everyone is eating. Therefore, today I'm going to educate you on what foods type 1 diabetics should be choosing, type 2 diabetics should be choosing, and what non-diabetics should be choosing. So let's first dive into who type 1 diabetics are and what foods they should choose and not choose. So, Don Hall from Vibrant Life says diabetes is one of the fastest growing diseases out there, and it's also one of the most costliest. I believe it's because healthy foods are more expensive. According to the Mayo Clinic, type 1 diabetes, once known as juvenile diabetes, is a chronic condition in which the pancreas produces little or no insulin. Insulin is the hormone that produces little sugar and it allows to enter into the cells to create energy. So if you don't have that, it really brings you down. Some good foods according to medicine.net. Foods to eat for type 1 include complex sugars, such as brown rice, whole wheat, oatmeal, fruits, veggies, and beans. Bad foods, according to Medicine.net, should avoid sodas, simple carbs, which is basically anything processed, which we find a lot in our grocery stores, and trans fats to be the worst thing that type 1 diabetics can choose. Now let's look at type 2 diabetes. Healthline tells its readers, in type 2 diabetes, your body cells aren't able to respond to the insulin. In later stages of disease, your body may also produce little or no insulin, which causes some type 2 diabetics to become type 1. Some good foods that Medical News shares: veggies, beans, fruits, whole grains, and red meats are great for type 2 diabetics. Also, people with type 2 diabetes, they can have desserts and they can have that sugar like my dad was worried about, but they just have to limit it. Bad foods to avoid, according to Medical News Today, says one should limit or avoid foods that are unhealthy for everyone. Such are simple carbs, saturated and trans fats, and simple sugars. Now that we know what type 1 and type 2 diabetics are and what foods they should eat and should not eat, let's talk about what non-diabetics, meaning everyone else, should. Harvard's Healthy Eating Plate uses a guide that says they recommend eating mostly veggies, fruits, whole grains, healthy fats, and proteins. How many of you see this on television as a commercial that says it's a great breakfast juice? Even though it says 100% real fruit juice, it still has those natural sugars that if you intake too much of, it can cause some problems. UC Davis Health Today says that the more concentrated sugars and calories in a fruit, juice, or drink can lead to obesity and weight gain. Excessive weight gain can cause high blood pressure, strokes, and diabetes. So, grab a real orange instead of that juice. Today, I've talked to you about eating choices. I've talked about what type 1 diabetics should eat and what type 2 diabetics should eat and what everyone else should eat. I've shared you my story with my dad and how he was devastated about not being able to eat anything he wanted, but how the nutritionist gave us that story of, hey, everyone should be eating like this, so don't go, oh no, poor me. Type 1 diabetics need to take insulin to be able to be okay and to take it with their meals so no other complications arise. Type 2 diabetics eat healthy so that they don't get to that type 1 problem, and all of us non-diabetics, we should be following their example. Just like the famous saying goes, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, is really true. In this case, an orange.